Hi, everybody, and welcome to this edition of the New Variety Arts Show. We're sure excited that you're tuning in every week, and we hope that you are. Wake the neighbors, call the kids, do whatever you have to do to get people to watch. This is an exciting program we have for you tonight, the New Variety Arts Show, and our guest, and we're going to get to that in just a few minutes. In the meantime, though, I want to introduce our musical conductor, Mr. Van Corriton.
Howdy, Brad.
Howdy. Yeah, we're still talking Western, aren't we, because of our guest we had on last week.
Guest.
Wasn't he a lot of fun?
Nice man.
Nice people. His name was Troy Neighbors. He was the rodeo clown. It still is, even as we speak. But I wanted to show you what Troy was nice enough to give me here. This is a big lithograph of the cover of the Phoenix Rodeo of Rodeos program for 1990, and he autographed it for me, and we're going to see if we can get it mounted, and we're going to put it up here on the set. In the meantime, I will make this disappear. There we go, just like that. I wanted to find out if you had watched the Super Bowl. We didn't get a chance to talk about that last time.
Saw it not live. I was at the Phoenician doing tea, which I do most days.
That's right. When are you there now?
3 to 5 every afternoon for high tea.
7 days a week?
7, except when I'm with you.
Oh, okay. And that's every week. Well, you know, it was the Buffalo Bills and the Redskins.
Yeah, I understand you had something going on.
It was terrible. I lost $50 on the game.
$50?
Yeah, 25 on the game and 25 on the instant replay. Okay. I didn't think the Bills could lose twice in a row like that. I wasn't sure.
You want to see it again?
No, I've learned my lesson, I think. Well, you know, we have a very good friend with us today, a gentleman who is a comedian, an impressionist, a satirist. He's traveled all over the country, one of the busiest comedians I know of, and he has worked with all the major stars. We're going to talk about all that when we come back, but I thought what we ought to do right now, Van, is let everybody see this man in action, and we have a little clip to show you. This is off a recent performance of his on a cruise ship. Boy, wouldn't you like to do that?
I've done that.
Nice work if you can get it, I guess. So right now, folks, watch your TV and enjoy the comedy of Paul Lennon.
Boy, lots of stuff goes on in the news. Every day we pick up a paper, turn on a TV, and there's another shocker there, isn't it? I mean, they just keep shocking us with one news-breaking story after another. The media is just on top of everything, maybe too much on top of everything. There's a whole bunch of things that started to happen in the last few years that have not yet been resolved. I have a list of predictions of how they're going to be resolved. For instance, I predict that in the 90s, Leona Helmsley will definitely go to jail, where she'll meet and fall in love with Manuel Noriega. They'll be married by Jim Baker. James Brown is going to sing the wedding song. Papa's got a brand new bag. The best man will be William Kennedy Smith. The maid of honor will be Zsa Zsa Gabor. The wedding night will be videotaped by Rob Lowe. And Pete Rose is going to lay odds it doesn't last a year. How about that? You know what really irritates me about newscasters is they do not speak in full words when they describe the news to us anymore. They give us the acronyms and initials of everything they talk about. And they think you and I, the public, know what all those acronyms stand for. And of course, we don't. I turned on the news update the other night, and here's the way it sounded. I couldn't make head or tail out of it. Hi, guys. This is Ted Baxter with the news and the news and the news. Today, the AP reported that the FBI and the CIA, along with the NAACP, asked AT&T, strictly on the QT, to run a PB on the VP of IBM. Their findings were that the VP was never a member of the KKK, but instead was a member of the FOP, the FOE, the KFC, and the PTA. Of course, that was while the VP was a DA of LA. Then they found that the VP changed his AC when he moved from LA to DC, arousing suspicion that the VP was AC/DC. Oh my God! Woo! Oh, it's all Thatcher. Tell me what I'm saying, I see the girl with the diamond ring. She knows how to shake that thing. Hey, hey, baby, it's all right, church up. Tell me what I'm saying. Here comes Tom Jones. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3.
Well, I saw the light on tonight till I passed by her window. Wow! I saw the flickering shadows of love on her blind. Well, all right, she was my woman. Ow! As she deceived me, I laughed and went out of my mind. Everybody said, why, Delilah? Now before, but it come to break down the door. Forgive me, Delilah, just could not take anymore. Forgive me, Delilah, just could not take anymore.
Ladies and gentlemen, Paul Lennon, the Comedy Star of Tonight Show.
That was Paul Lennon. I have to laugh every time I see that. He's a very good friend and a very funny man, an actor, an MC, a comedian, an impressionist, a satirist, and an all-around nice guy. Please welcome Paul Lennon to the program.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I can't believe that I fell down. I'm too old to be doing that kind of stuff.
Well, you know, you do Tom Jones. That'd take it out of anybody.
Yeah. Well, usually now, when I do that finish now, I usually scream to the audience, "I've fallen and I can't get up."
You know, that reminds me. My mom bought a life alert like that, and my dad plugged it into the clapper. So now when my mother falls down, my dad gets toast. You know, it kind of works out that way. Anyway, you are a recently have moved to the Valley of the Sun, so we have you here now, but you're gone so much.
Aren't you lucky? You're so fortunate.
I am. You came out from Detroit, is that right?
That's right. I was held prisoner there for about 40 years of my life.
You sound like Bob Hope. Help, I'm a prisoner in a Chinese bakery.
Yeah, but I finally got to live where I want to live, in the middle of the desert.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of people back east would like to do that.
Well, this is the wild and woolly West, where men are men and women are women, and we don't want anybody coming down from San Francisco confusing us.
That's right. Sheep are scared. You know, you are known. It's public access. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
You're known for being a clean comedian, though. That's
well,
really.
You just ruined my reputation.
I'm doing the dirty jokes. Your reputation is intact. But you really have built a reputation and a career on being a clean, family-oriented magician.
That's why I'm not a big
comedian.
success. That's why I'm not a big success, you see.
Well,
apparently you have to be a little blue these days.
I was going to ask you if you felt that it kind of held you back because, you know, after Lenny Bruce and George Carlin and the comedians Richard Pryor and everybody's doing very raucous humor, and I just wondered if you felt like you'd gotten kind of left in the dust, or do you feel it accounts for your success?
No, for the first time in my life, I'm different. I'm one of the few guys doing clean material, I guess. You know. But no, that's the way I've always approached my business and my humor, and I'm certainly not a prude. But my parents taught me when I was just a little kid that you don't get up in front of a group of people and talk dirty. Yeah. It's impolite and it's rude.
Well, let's talk about when you were growing up. Now, you were born originally in...
I was born in Canada.
In Canada?
Yeah, Kitchener, Ontario, Canada.
Kitchener, Ontario.
That's right.
May I see your green card, please?
I do have a green card.
Do you?
I certainly do, and it's in the dressing room as we speak. I can run and get it if you got
No,
got a few
that's
minutes.
quite okay.
No, I can do that.
Oh, my goodness. We make the big bus here on the New Variety Art Show.
Part-time he works as an immigration officer, so...
Well, that's great. How long have you... did you move to the States as a little boy, or...?
Yes, we moved to Michigan when I was about 13 years old. Raised in Dearborn, Michigan.
In Dearborn.
That's right.
Home of Henry Ford.
That's right. And the Dearborn vibrator.
The Dearborn vibrator.
Well, that's what they call it back there. The Ford is what I'm talking
I see.
This public access. It doesn't matter what
That's
we
right.
say.
Nobody's listening anyway. Well, where did you... Oh, we may not get through this interview.
No, we're having fun. Will you join us? Anybody?
Yes, anytime now. Where did you go to college?
College? You think I went to college?
Well, you must have taken some college to be something else, and then became a comedian.
I went to college for a few years, but I was doing this as a living already. By the time I got out of high school, I was making money at this.
Oh my goodness!
And I said, well, I think I'll keep doing this until something better comes along. So it's still temporary.
Yeah. What were your early jobs in show business?
Well, I worked in some terrible places when I was a kid, and started working in public nightclubs before I was old enough to do so, and until they caught up with me doing that, and then that shoved me into a different area of the business, which was really great. It turned out to be a wonderful move, because now I had to go into to working private banquets and convention engagements and corporate affairs. And by the time I was old enough to work clubs, I didn't need clubs anymore.
Yeah, because you'd carved out a whole new career.
Yeah, I really did. Yeah. So it was a blessing in disguise, so to speak.
Very good. And how long ago? I shouldn't say that. When did you get married? Because I know that you have a lovely wife.
Yes, Deanna, and we've been married. We're going to be celebrating our Crystal wedding anniversary.
Crystal. Van, look that up for me, will you? So
no,
find out.
No,
what
Crystal is 32 years of her being able to see right through me.
Oh, I see.
And she wrote that joke, and she loves that joke.
Well,
I don't understand
sure
that
to
joke.
send a copy of the show to her so she can see it, because you're on the road so awfully much.
Yes, that's true.
You're one of the busiest guys I know, and you send out calendars to your friends to let everybody know where you're at, and it's always just jam-packed.
That's right.
When did you make the decision really to go full-time then? I mean, you were working all through, what, high school and through college, but when did it suddenly dawn on you that this is it?
Well, at that time, and I never wanted to do anything else. As I sit here now, and I'm 53 years old, and I'm not ashamed of that. I'm proud of it because I think I look wonderful for my age.
You certainly do.
And I've never had a legitimate job in my life. I have never worked for a living. I've not considered this a job. I've never considered it working. And I've just been able to goof around and get paid for it. It's a marvelous thing.
What we do is play, and if you would keep your voice down, somebody is going to catch us, and then it's all going to be over. They're going to know what...
Well, isn't that the way you feel, though?
Yeah. If you didn't... work to me is a four-letter word. If this wasn't fun and I had a chance to play and be productive at the same time, I wouldn't do it. So
yeah, I'm still amazed every time somebody hands me a check. They won't be handing me a check for this program, but whenever they do, I'm amazed.
Well, someday we're gonna try to write that. Listen, you moved here to the Valley.
I meant no harm.
No,
don't
that's
take
okay.
that personally.
That's okay.
I saw this frown come over your face.
Well, it cost me a fortune to do this show, but nobody is sponsoring us. That's public access, non-sponsored, non-commercial, but we may fix that someday. So.
Oh, that's interesting. Let me know when that happens.
Yeah, and I'll have you back. And we'll actually give you the $32.50
yeah, that's about what it'll
union
be.
scale.
Yeah.
How long have you been here in the Valley now?
I've been here almost 5 years. Yeah, and I really enjoy it. I really love the West. And I was first introduced to Arizona when I was still living in Michigan many, many years ago. And I was brought out here in 1971, perhaps, 72, to work the Arizona State Fair. And that became a 7-year job for me. I was the opening act for all of the star attractions in the Coliseum during the run of the fair. And I did that for 7 years, and each year I came back, I fell in love with Arizona that much more.
From the State Fair, can you imagine, folks? What a frightening thought. I've been to the fair, too. There's a very eclectic group of people that attend that.
Oh, yes, it's one of my favorite parking lots. But no,
you work all the high-class places.
No, it's great. I love fairs. I still do a lot of fairs.
I know you know Terry Stokes,
very
the
well.
hypnotist. He was on our show when the fair was here in town this last year.
Yes, and I worked with Terry at the California Mid-State Fair last August.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, you
wonderful.
do a lot of this hosting of all of the big name stars. You open for them and that sort of thing at fairs. Was Arizona State the first fair that you did that at? Or?
No, you got to work up to that, Brad.
Oh, I see. That's why I'm still on public access, and you're out there making the big bucks.
No, it was one of my more pleasant engagements, to tell you the truth. And when I finally moved here to Phoenix, they never booked me back there again. But now I work the Michigan
Well, that's
State
because
Fair.
you're a local act.
Yeah,
See,
probably.
local acts are no good at the Arizona State Fair, unless you want to work the free stage, you know, off in the corner somewhere in the dust of the racetrack or whatever.
well,
But,
they pay
you got to
well,
move out
too.
of town again, then they'll book you back. Well, listen, I know you also work cruise ships, and those. Now, I've never worked on a cruise ship, but I would like to someday. That's got to be a tough job, huh?
Oh, very difficult. Very difficult. You do 2 shows a week, and the rest of the time you're a passenger. It's just marvelous.
They really let you out of the cabin for the rest of that time?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You can't stay in those cabins.
You have to go outside to change your mind?
Yeah, I would.
A little small.
They give you a room down on F deck.
F
But
deck.
it's a beautiful sight down there. All those guys rowing in unison. It's just wonderful. But it's tough when the captain wants to go skiing. You know?
I guess so.
Poor guys.
Well, listen, in addition to doing your comedy act and your impressions, as we alluded to earlier, you are an MC, and you introduce other acts and keep the show moving. What can you tell us what makes a good MC? Because I'm sure we've all been to the local talent show at the school and seen some awful MC. What defines a good MC?
I think sincerity. If you really enjoy emceeing, you must be very sincere about the performer that you're introducing. And I always search the proper wording, try to get a couple of real good credits that fit the particular artist that I'm introducing. The difficult thing is when you're introducing an act that perhaps is not so good, and you still have to make it professional.
Right.
So you use words like, "This is one of the most unique performers you'll ever see. This man is different, he's absolutely the most unusual performer.
Unclassifiable.
Unclassifiable. He's in a class by himself. The yellow pages don't have enough things to say about this guy."
Well, that's great. And one of the other things that makes you so popular are the impressions that you do. Tell us how you got started doing impressions. Were you a class clown? Did you start in school
Yeah, I really
imitating
was.
the teacher and stuff like that?
Yeah.
I hear this story a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. And came very close to getting kicked out of school on many occasions. Was voted the kid that probably would not amount to anything. But very popular with my schoolmates.
Oh, I can imagine.
Oh, I was a big hero to them.
Did you make noises too? Were you able to?
No, I didn't do noises, but I did impressions. And the very first impression I did, I think, was Jerry Lewis. And I found great notoriety around the school doing. Jerry at the time was the #1 comedic star in the world.
Oh, yeah.
And he was so physical with what he did. And I started doing that at school, and the kids just loved it. The teachers hated it, so that was right up my alley.
Oh, yeah. Well, listen, Van Corrigan has volunteered to tickle the keyboards for you. And,
Has he? How
and we
nice.
saw you do some impressions a little earlier in the clips, but there are a couple that you do that are personal favorites of mine. And I was wondering if you would be nice enough to favor us with a couple of impressions. Would you
And
do that?
who might they be, Brad?
Well, we know them as the Rat Pack, led
yeah.
by the chairman of the board, Frank Sinatra, and good old Dean Martin, and of course my personal favorite and a big hero was Sammy Davis.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Okay, so is Frank Sinatra Old Blue Eyes?
Old Blue Eyes.
Dean Martin, Old Red Eyes.
Right.
And Sammy Davis, Old One Eye. And maybe we'll even throw in a little Jerry Lewis, being that I was talking about Jerry. I haven't done him in a long time.
That would be great. This is going to be very reminiscent for me here, the old Rat Pack.
Right, can I walk over here to
Absolutely,
Van? 'Cause he's my man.
absolutely.
You know, he's Nelson Riddle. Okay, this is Nelson. Let's start with a little Frank, okay? Give me Lady's a Tramp in the key of C. Is that a good key?
Count it off.
All right, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hey, baby, what's shaking? She gets too hungry for dinner at 8. Now my chick digs the theater, but won't fly late. She'd never bother with those people she hates, and that is why Kitty Kelly, she is a trim. Come on, Dean, grab her. She loves the free, fresh, wind in her hair. Oh, her life is all without care. Oh, this chick's broke. Here's Sammy Davis.
doesn't take crap games with Sharpies and frauds. And that's why the lady is, that's why the lady is,
That's why the lady is a tramp. I like it. Whoa, I like it.
Aldine!
Thank you, my man. Thank you.
Oh, that's great.
Thank you,
I
Bradley.
love it. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and I left out a little piece there, didn't I? That followed me so well.
Oh.
So well.
Well, listen, we only ask the best people to come in here and work for free.
I'm probably moving van for nothing.
A moving van?
Right.
Oh, gee, everybody's a comedian today.
He plays on all the keys.
See, you rub off on us. We have such a good time. Well, that's just great. Do you get requests for certain impressions more than others? What are your more popular requests?
The Rat Pack is, when I do it in concert, I do an extended version of that, of course, and do a lot more Frank and a lot more Sammy, and people really do seem to respond to that. They really like it.
What about the country western stars?
Yeah, I do a lot of them.
Are they big now?
Yeah, very big. And I do a lot of work with country music stars. I just did an engagement last weekend in Scranton, Pennsylvania with Crystal Gale.
Crystal Gale, how did that go?
Wonderful.
Did
wonderful.
you comb her hair for her? Or?
Oh, her hair is so beautiful. Oh, it goes all the way down to the floor now.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
She's going to have to get lifts or something in her shoes. Huh?
Yeah, my hair goes down to the floor too when about midnight I'm laying on the floor. Hair is touching.
What's the most obscure voice that you do?
The most obscure voice?
The most obscure.
Boy, now that's an interesting question.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, Paul Lind, probably.
Paul Lind?
Yeah, a lot of people don't do Paul Lind, and a lot of people have forgotten Paul Lind.
Yeah.
And that's one of my favorites. I always liked him.
Paul Lind was the center square on the Hollywood Squares for years with Peter Marshall as the host. And Paul Lind to block, or Paul Lind to win.
Yeah, that's how he became famous, as a matter of fact.
Yeah. Well, he did a lot of movies, though. He was in,
sure did.
He was in tons of movies.
A lot of Jack Lemmon films.
Right. Always the comic relief.
That's right. He was on Bewitched. He was Uncle Arthur on Bewitched. He had his own television series for a while. My favorite movie that he did was with Jack Lemmon, Under the Yum Yum Tree. That was my favorite. But when he did the Hollywood Squares, he would come off with some of the greatest answers. Like Peter Marshall one day asked him, why do motorcyclists wear leather? And he said, 'cause chiffon wrinkles.
Can I tell you my favorite one? And I may have heard this from you. But my favorite one was, Paul, how do you get a canary to stop chirping or singing? And Paul said, set the oven to 350. that was my favorite one.
Or here's one somebody told me the other night. People come up out of the audience and give me Paul Lynn lines all the time. Do giraffes make mating calls? And he said, absolutely, and I just keep hanging up on them.
You have a true story about Paul Lynn, the one where the Peter Marshall, I think, told you this.
Yes.
And it's the one about Paul Lynn, and he keeps speeding up. You know which one I'm talking about?
Oh, yes.
Okay, tell that real quick.
All right,
because this is a true story.
He's going along the Hollywood freeway, and he's doing about 75 miles an hour, and he picks up a trooper who's got his flasher going. So Paul kicks it up to 85. The trooper now turns on his siren and his flasher. Paul kicks it up to 95. Finally, at 100 miles per hour, the state trooper finally pulls him over to the side of the road. They both came to the side of the road safe and sound. Trooper gets out of his car, his flasher's still going, his siren winding down. He's madder than a wet hen. He walks up to Paul's car and he says, what is the matter with you, man? He said, didn't you see my flasher? Didn't you hear my siren? Paul said, of course I did. He said, well, then why, man, didn't you stop? He said, well, last month my wife ran off with the state trooper and I thought you were bringing her back.
That's one of my favorite stories. Well, who have been your role? I'll be okay as soon as I have my Valium cocktail. Who have been your role models in comedy? Who have you tried to emulate or look up to?
Well, like I said, when I was a kid, probably the first one when I was a real small child was Red Skelton.
Mine too.
He caught my ear first, and God bless him, he's still out there working. He's 77 now.
Incredible.
Still does a 2-hour concert and is a marvelous comedian. Then, like I say, in high school it was probably Jerry Lewis, because I got so much notoriety from the other kids doing Jerry all the time. And then in later, well, today, of course, Paul Lennon as time went on, and Jack Lemmon as an actor, Jackie Gleason. And today I really, really admire Jay Leno.
Jay Leno.
I think he's an absolute genius. He really is.
He seems to have an understanding of comedy. And I heard Dennis Miller on his new show the other night talking about Jay Leno. Even back when Dennis Miller and some of the others were getting started, Jay Leno was advising them, you know, on comedy. So he seems like he has a good grasp of the medium.
Well, yes, and Jay has great respect for his audience. I know Jay. I've met him. I don't know him well, but I've met him on a couple of occasions, and he has a tremendous respect for his audience.
Yeah.
He's too intelligent to have to do rough material or to do ethnic material that people get upset about. He is so brilliant. He can pick up USA Today, go through the first section of the paper and come up with 10 lines that are killer lines.
Monologue.
Yeah, really. He, up until very recently, has written all of his own material.
Yeah.
And only now that he's doing The Tonight Show on a
has
very
staff,
regular basis, they do have a staff.
And that
of
chews
writers.
up material, you know, incredibly fast.
Real fast.
So.
But all the while he was coming up on The Tonight Show, he wrote his own.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he did.
Before we get, before this show gets away from us too fast, we want to mention that you are now on the Nashville network, can be seen on the Statler Brothers show. You've taped one segment that'll rerun at the end of February. Is that right? February 29th?
I believe that's going to be the date. If they keep the shows the way they've been running, it will be at that time. But who knows?
Yeah,
they
check
might
your
play
schedule.
it later. Yeah.
Yeah. So the Nashville network, the Statler Brothers show. Check your listings to see Paul Lennon. You have 4 kids. What are their names?
Oh, I gave them all religious names. I have Matthew, Mark, Luke, and Bingo.
Oh.
And I have a grandson now, too.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, a
Well,
6-year-old.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You don't look old enough to be a grandfather.
I know that.
Yeah. Well, now tell us where can people expect to see you here coming up soon? And remember, we're tape delayed, so probably in March. Do you have some fairs coming up? Some cruise ships?
Yeah, in April. Well, I'm going to be doing a lot of corporate dates from this point on through the end of March, and so nothing really public is
Paso
happening.
Robles? Did I see something about that?
That's in August.
In August, Paso
Yeah.
Robles Fair. Look for Paul Lennon in your neighborhood. Folks, we're out of time. It's been too much fun here today with Paul Lennon.
But I got a lot more to say.
Well, we're out of time. You'll have to come back.
I'm sorry.
Will you come back?
No, I've got too much more material to do tonight. I'll forget it by the next time.
Well, folks,
It's public access. It doesn't matter. We can stay on the air.
We can run over.
You have no time. You can stay on.
Folks,
Did I say something
this
to bother
is the kind of fun. This is the kind
Why
of
are
fun
you
we have
brushing
every
me
week
off?
here
You're
at the
brushing
New
me
Variety
off.
Arts Show.
I want to stay for a little while.
This was the next segment. It's okay. I want to thank our music director, Van Corden.
Yay, Van.
Come back and see us again. Meantime, support Variety Arts in your community.
I got 10 more minutes of
Get
material.
it. There we You're too much. Yeah, we're going to continue to talk and shake hands. And
Thanks, Brad.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Did
it
you have
was.
fun?
Yeah, that went by so fast.
I know. I had another 2 pages of questions to ask. See, I always overwrite. You know, I try to overwrite.
That's good. No, you should.
Yeah. Is Bob Lumley here? Is Bob Lumley, has he shown up yet?
Is that your
No,
next
not yet.
guest?
Yeah, that's our next guest. So, see, we have
Oh, isn't he great?
WC
He
is
was
our
he was
mascot.
marvelous.
It's our mascot. You know, he was
He's top
originally-
heavy, too.
Yeah, he was originally a juggler. You know,
Yes, I know
he started
that.
out as a juggler
Yeah, and he was a pool player.
and a pool hustler.
Yeah,
pool
he was a
star.
hustler. He's great.
So I thought he was the perfect symbol or image
for
New Variety Arts. 'Cause,
Absolutely.
A man who did it all in show business.
Yeah, he sure did it in the Marx Brothers.
Yeah, you like our segment?
Yeah, it's very nice. Orson Welles, one of the funnier guys in the business.
Yeah, that's right. Well, no, he did magic.
I know.
Yeah,